Season 2 of Ricardo's Rules of Resilience podcast is brought to you by RamFit. Here at RamFit, we take material destined for landfill and turn it into high-performance training gear that lasts, because we believe we can have fitter people and a fitter planet. In the dynamic world of fitness equipment, our indestructible training tools made from recycled materials promises to revolutionize your workouts and deliver unmatched durability. By embracing the RamFit philosophy, you're not only enhancing your workouts, but also contributing to a more sustainable future. RamFit. Fitter people, fitter planet.
That's right. Ricardo's Rules of Resilience. Tune in, people. Every episode is impactful. You become more burly just by listening. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ricardo's Rules of Resilience podcast, the podcast where we give you the tools to withstand and recover from difficult times. I'm your co-host, Coach Alton, along with Coach Ricardo, and today, you guys, we got another super special guest on the podcast today. We got Yvette Salva in the house. She owns her personal training studio called Yvette Salva Fitness that is specifically designed for women, and then she's also an author of the book Booze, Blow, and Pancakes. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Alton and Ricardo. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, I can't wait to get into it. So as we start off, for the viewers that may not know you, if you could give us a quick elevator pitch on who you are and what you're about.
My name is Yvette Salva. I am the owner of a personal training studio in Spotswood, New Jersey, and it's basically a one-on-one training studio for women. I'm also a mom. I have a 10-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I am also a life coach. And what I like to do is just inspire people to get unstuck. Specifically women, middle-aged women who are feeling lost, not seen, not validated, not knowing what to do after they've raised their kids, and my message is that there's always hope, because I've been down and out so many times, and I've had to get up and recover so many times that, my message is, if there's breath, there's hope.
I love that. And I can't wait to dive deeper into your story. So many tips and tools of resilience within that story. But before we get into that, I kind of wanted to talk about your personal training studio. I don't think I've heard of a studio that is designed specifically for women. So what was the inspiration behind creating that super specific focus with your training studio?
Alton, such a good question. I am just so inspired by the way you think. I've never been asked that. So, Alton, when I was growing up at 16 years old, I was teaching group fitness. And all the women, the heavier women, or women who didn't have the choreography or just didn't feel like they fit in, were always in the back. And as the years progressed, I would always be like, the front row girls got to move to the back because they know who they are, right? And I would bring all the back row girls to the front, and like Susie'd be like, oh no, I'm good. I'm like, oh no, you're coming to the front. So when I made up this studio, when I started training in big box gyms, they'd be like, can we go in this little corner? I'm like, hell no, we are going to own the corner. And so that's what I do. Like, one trainer, one client, she feels important, she matters, and there's no front row, back row. We are all together empowering each other.
So I love that mindset that you have with that. That's so great. And we actually have a couple of similarities. One being we started group personal training at a young age. I started at 17, and you just mentioned you started at 16. And another is we both moved back to the U.S. at a similar time. I moved back when I was in 7th grade, and you also moved to the United States when you were in 7th grade, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So tell us a little bit about what that was like moving to the U.S. in middle school, which is a pretty difficult time personally, a lot of development, a lot of hormones going around, and people are pretty mean at that age. So what was that like?
I have to say is people suck. In middle school, it is the absolute worst. The absolute worst. This is the scenario of middle school. Like, I'm going to gym class. I'm not athletic at all. And there's like you and your dad picking teams, right? And Ricardo picks Steven and Alton picks Jeff. And there's like one person left. Yvette, now you take her. Now we good. Now you can have her. Like, that's what it felt like. like I was the worst. Didn't look like Susie Q. I had black hair. I'm Spanish. I'm black. I did not fit in. I was not athletic. Middle school was god awful for me. And I think my whole life, I just wanted to be Farrah Fawcett or Heather Locklear, and that was never going to be. So I was always chasing, how can I fit in? How can I be like other people? And, that's what it felt like for me moving here to America.
Yvette, you and I first got to know each other as we were in an Impact Speaker certification course together, and You've made a very powerful keynote speech that I got to hear part of and shared your story, and it just rocked everyone. I mean, and you ended up actually being selected as the #1 keynote speaker in that course, well deserved. And the reason is that you were willing to be absolutely bare naked vulnerable and talk about exactly what happened in your life and where life took you and how you responded initially to some of those difficulties and how dark it got. So can you just talk a little bit about how that road you went down of darkness, where life was just not the way you dreamed it would be?
Yeah. And I really appreciate the visual of like, you're just the bare naked truth of everything, because the reason for that is I feel like there's so much stigma and shame around addiction and mental health.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
really want to take the stigma out of mental health, whether it's bipolar, addiction, suicide. There's so much shame in talking about our vulnerabilities and our emotions. And I knew growing up that like everything was, tuck under the rug. Yeah. And so for me, my father was a doctor, my mom's a professor, and I had to have this beautiful life. Like everything looked good on the outside, but on the inside, everything was horrible. Like the white picket fence on the outside, but on the inside, it was really bad. And for me, that took me on a road of drugs, alcohol, and bulimia. I came out of college, perfect, everything paid for in college. My dad's a doctor. You think the beautiful life. And I was in sales, and then I went into sales. I was really good, but I started to drink with the customers, and I performed even better. But then, like all things, there's a consequence, right? And Alton, very important for young people to realize, like, drinking will eliminate that inhibition that you have. You dance better, you talk better to people, but there is a consequence, because I was always chasing that feeling, right? So I ended up getting fired from that sales position, and then I went that fork in the road, Alton, I'm speaking to you, where you're like, should I go this way or should I go this way? And there's, looking back now, I'm sure you and your dad, we can see there's always that fork, but I didn't realize that. And that's when I went into the nightlife, bartending, waitressing, and that road is what got me into the drugs. And that road led me to being homeless and losing everything. And, it all starts innocent from the fork in the road. And now looking back, I say, wow, I could have taken a different direction, but I chose not to. And through that, I'm grateful, because I learned all the lessons that I needed to.
It's not one decision that's going to lead you down that road. It's multiple little decisions like you're talking about. Just a simple decision of, oh, I'm going to drink because I'm looser and I perform better, right? And then that pushes you down the road further in that direction. And the title of your book, Booze, Blow, and Pancakes, talks about the 3 addictions that you suffered from, which alcohol, cocaine, and food. So tell us a little bit about those addictions and how they kind of had a vice grip on your life.
Yeah. So I think we're all have our certain personality traits. Like, I'm an addict. I think maybe you guys can relate. We're either all in or all out. Like, there's nothing I don't dabble with anything. I don't put my foot into anything. I go all in. Yeah. Right? So I'm not having like half a donut. It's not going to happen, right? So started with donuts, started with pancakes, and that was my first addiction, was anorexia. I wanted to lose weight to fit in so I could look like the other girls, the cheerleaders. I wanted to be thin because I thought that would get me up the social ladder. I saw that beauty and thinness was the currency to getting boys and to being popular. So I was like, oh, well, if I do that, then I'll get that. And that did work, but you can only do that. You can only starve yourself for so long. So then I went to the bulimia. And I see that with so many women, whether they throw up or they don't throw up, that real struggle of food. Because food is not something we can just stop, right? You have to manage food, right? It's not something like cocaine where I'm never going to do a line again. It's something you have to manage. So food was a demon of mine, and it was the last demon to go. From 14 to 47, I was bulimic. Always that was the noise in the background. Alcoholism took full force when I started go-go dancing, because I would go to work, and to talk to customers and to have the bravery to go on stage, the courage, I needed to have the alcohol. And then one day a bartender said, you're going to do so much better if you do a little blow. And that was the combination. That was the secret sauce, like McDonald's. I'm like, yeah, we're going to have a little booze, then we're going to blow it up. And then at night when I come home at 4 a.m., I'll eat whatever I want. I'll throw up, and I'll never have to pay the effects. And I did that for years.
And that took you down a path where you weren't even aware of how bad it was getting. I remember you talking about the moment where you're training a client one-on-one, and she starts talking to you about, I think you might have a drinking problem here. And for you, it was shocking of, oh my goodness, it's, my underwear showing, my pants are undone, kind of that moment of, I had no idea this was obvious to other people, because you thought you were keeping it all well hidden.
I really did. I even went back to sales during the go-go dancing. So I had a gym bag, right? Here I am with my 6-pack. At night, I'm throwing up. I'm a go-go dancer. I have the bravery to get up on stage by doing drugs. And then I have my business suit with my briefcase. I was literally a chameleon, imposter to all three. And I didn't think anyone knew what was going on. It's like crazy. 3 different people I was in a day.
And none of them were honest, right?
None of them were honest. None of them. So when somebody says imposter syndrome, I get it, because women would be like, I need to have a 6-pack like you. And I'm like, well, if you really knew that I ate like 30 pancakes this morning and threw up, or like, how do you get up on that stage and dance so good? Well, if you really knew that I just did 3 lines of Coke, or like, how do you sell? I sell because I have liquid courage in the morning to get to talk to somebody.
We go down those roads and all those decisions, we don't realize just how far we've gone down that road. And going back to the bulimia, with me being in college wrestling, we have a women's and a men's side, and sadly I've seen a lot of people cutting weight not the right way, turning to things like throwing up or going on super long runs, or not eating, not properly fueling your body. And it's a tricky balance when you have to lose weight, but at the same time, wrestling's not an easy sport. You got to be really fueled for those practices. And I really see girls struggle with making the right nutritional decisions with that. Going back to your practice with the fitness studio, how do you help women and people in general really make the right nutrition decisions with yourself? Obviously you've talked about you're struggling with that. How do you food? It's not going to go away, like you said. How do we kind of retrain our thinking with eating?
So for me, the biggest help with the eating was going through my life coaching certification, because what I needed to do, Alton, was learn how to think differently, right? Food is just food. It's how we perceive it. It's how we think about it, which makes us feel a certain way, which ultimately leads to us acting a certain way, right? So food is just food. It's just about how we think about it. So in the past, I used to prescribe diets. I would have the keto diet and the paleo diet and the whole foods diet. But what I've realized through my journey is that all diets work, but it's our brains that don't work. So I switched the focus on the thinking about food, because what might work for you, Alton, might not work for your dad. So there's not a one size fits all. All diets work. It's how do we adhere to them and make the right choices so that we don't feel deprived and then face plant our face in tacos and nachos and wine on the weekend and start over Monday, which is the cycle that I see repeatedly with most women, So it's like changing the thinking about food. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be start over Monday. You're not good or bad on any specific day. You could start your day over on Tuesday at 11. It's changing the thoughts about diet and nutrition.
Developing that proper line of thinking of what this is. It's not a comfort. It's not my salvation. It's not how I'm dealing with stress. It's fuel for the machine. It's fuel for my emotions. It's once you get tuned into that, I notice for myself, I go too long without even eating, and I'll notice my emotional state starts going down because my energy's so low. And retraining our mind in that way which is actually very similar to how we deal with chemicals. Well, I have to have coffee. I have to have something to rely. Oh, we're going to have a good time. I'm going to have some drinks, or I'd hear this from clients. Oh, well, I'm going on vacation, so I'll probably gain weight. Well, if we feel like that we have to, if vacation means that I have to have sugar and alcohol for me to enjoy it, then yeah, you probably will. But we don't have to if we can just change our line of thinking and our line of expectations.
I love that food is fuel, but for us if food for so much is emotional comfort, right? It's for so much, it's relieving stress, and it's to change that pattern of thinking. It's also how, social, it's everything. It really is so much of integrated into our life. Because if you think about it, I go to the gym and I'll be at the same gym for 10 years, seeing the same people, no changes, none. Like, you've been coming here for 10 years and nothing has changed. It's not the exercise, it's your thoughts about food, what you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah, that's right. Your thinking on food changed, your thinking on alcohol has changed. Can you talk about what it was? We talk about in our journey of recovery, we talk about, getting to that rock bottom place, or that place where I can take the first step, that I'm powerless over this. Can you describe how you got to that moment?
For me, it was, I was living in my car and I was going to the gym to shower to go to the go-go bar. And I was just like, this is just not a good way to live. Like, I'm tired and it's getting cold. And nobody knew, nobody knew. I still had, Gabriella D at night, Yvette during the day, and nobody knew. But I was just, I was tired of running. There's got to be a better way. Because I had tried 7 rehabs. I had tried all the things, but nothing stuck. But it wasn't until I was like when people come to me and say, when am I going to get it? It's when the pain is great enough to cause change. Because if my parents still kept taking me in, if I still had money in my pocket, when there's the pain is great enough, you will make change. And that's what it was for me. Like, I was tired. I knew I wasn't going to live past 30. Like, I did not want to die. That's what it came. I knew jails, institutions, or death. I'd been to jail. I'd been in institutions. The only thing left was me dead. I don't want to die.
That's so powerful what you said. When the pain is great enough, then you'll make the change. So when you feel that pain, you come to the realization, oh, I'm probably not going to live past 30 with my current lifestyle. Obviously, eating disorders, alcohol, cocaine, all those things are very addictive substances, and it's not just going to be willpower that's going to get you through. How, after feeling that pain, how do you then go from that pre-contemplation state to the action phase of, I'm going to take action on this addiction?
Wow, you are amazing, Alton. I just got to take a time out and say, wow, you have such amazing questions. So what happened, and I want you to think about this in your own life, God will put people in your life. God works through people. So at the gym, no one's going to fire me because I'm teaching a rocking class with 60 people. At the go-go bar, no one's firing me because I have a following that's bringing in customers. But at the job where I was selling advertising, they said to me, Yvette, you have a drinking problem, and if you don't go to rehab, you're fired. And this time, I took it. I took it and I ran with it. It was God giving me that one last card. Here it is. Yeah. Because there was no more money from my parents. There was no, God put this woman, Brenda, in my life and said, you have a drinking problem. You're giving one shot. Take it. And I took it. And I ran with it and I listened. Follow the path. Follow the directions the way they're laid out, and you will get sober. Not buffet style, like what I feel like doing on that day, but how they are laid out, and you will accomplish this. And that's what I did. So God works through people, and that's how it happened for me.
I absolutely agree with you that, it's both, and God will send us that rescue boat. Will we get in it? Or are we going to cling to this life raft? I don't know. I don't know about that. So taking that step is having the courage to let go is so important.
I think it's timing too. Like I had to have failed so many times prior doing it my way that this way I was done. Like the white flag, I surrender.
And you're really too talking about what got you there is actual love, real love. We talk of love about it being a feeling, and I love all you people, but the uncomfortable love or, tough love of your parents saying, oh, we hate to think what's going to happen and we're scared to death. I imagine they're thinking we're scared to death what's going to happen, but we're not going to keep sustaining this lifestyle. And your boss, taking that risk and saying, oh, this could go really bad. She could go either way with this, but we're going to bring the bottom up instead of trying to soften the bottom so she doesn't hit the bottom so hard. We're actually going to bring the bottom up and help her hit the bottom so that she can make this decision. And that kind of love is rare because we don't want anybody mad at us, and the people around you that were willing to give you the tough medicine that you needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just imagine if that was your son and you have to say, no, you can't come back home. I see it all the time in my recovery circle. Like, Yvette, what can I do for my son? The best thing you can do is let him go. If he gets locked up, he'll be safe. And if not, he's going to get to his bottom earlier. Yeah. But as long as he's got a place to go and he can use, and you're going to Narcan him, he's never going to get ready. He's never going to get it.
I remember my grandfather, he really struggled with alcoholism in his college years. And one of the things that he talked about is he'd get arrested, get thrown in the drunk tank, and his dad would bail him out. And then the time where his dad didn't bail him out is really when he started to come to grips with everything. You've talked about you went through trying your way. You've been to several different rehab centers. How do you keep getting back into the saddle? How do you keep trying again with the confidence that this time it'll be different till the point where it eventually is different and you make that change in your life?
Commitment to the process. Every day I recommit, I refocus, and I restart. Because just because I have 20 years sober doesn't mean I'm going to have 20 years and a day. All I have is today. So I have to recommit today to do the same things I did when I had the pain 20 years ago, right? Because what happens is you start to get all your things back. You get kids and you get businesses and you get money, right? And then you're like, I don't have time for meetings. I don't need that. I'm good. And so it's so far away, a drink. And then I hear it all the time. They're at some Mets baseball game and, oh, I think I'll have a beer. And they lose it all. So it's recommitting, refocusing, and restarting every day. You're just given this 24-hour little thing. That's it. And every day I have to work out. I have to journal. I have to drink my water. I have to go to a recovery meeting. I have to help others. I have to be of service. Because if I don't do those things and I rest on my laurels, I will get drunk.
Mm-hmm. I love it. We are given a daily reprieve. We're not cured. We're given that daily reprieve. And for those of us who are spiritual people, the Master taught us to pray. And we do, there's a lot in meetings, right? Very often meetings will end with the Lord's Prayer, and which includes the phrase, give us today our daily bread, right? There's enough grace for today.
One thing I wanted to touch base on, so you want to be reminded to not do the thing, but how do you do that in a way that isn't like firing those old habits in your brain? Like when you wake up, I have this 24 hours to not drink alcohol, but by focusing on not drinking alcohol, how do you make sure that that's not actually driving you towards it? Because if I'm just thinking all day, oh, I'm not drinking alcohol, I'm not going to drink alcohol, I'm not going to drink alcohol, you kind of drive yourself insane into eventually drinking alcohol. So how do you do
that? That is a great, you know what I say to people? I'm like, imagine drinking so much that you have to have circle time to talk about it for the rest of your life. Like literally, but you know what that does, Alton? This is what it does. You get in a circle with a bunch of drunks, right? And you could have lawyers, cops, you could have the drunk that lives on the park bench. But we have all one common purpose, is the desire to stay sober. And when I get out of myself and help someone else, the thought of a drink is far away. And when I see someone coming in, telling me how bad it is out there, reminding me that they had 10 years sober and decided to pick up because they're not an alcoholic anymore, that's how I stay sober. It's about service. It's about doing stuff like this. Letting someone who knows who's drinking and nobody knows that they drink, and they got bottles in the laundry basket, and they got bottles downstairs, and they got bottles in their car, to know that it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do this way of life anymore.
Yes. Yes, helping others helps me more. That's an important rule of resilience. Yeah.
It does. When I sponsor someone or someone says, will you help me? And I'm like, do you know how much you're helping me? Like, I feel like I should be paying you.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have a mentor who would I would call him in the middle of the day, and he was, had a huge area of responsibility. And we might be on the phone for an hour, and we'd get to the end of the conversation, and he'd say, is there anything else? Not, well, I've got to get off here and get to my next meeting, which I'm sure he had plenty of work waiting. But he would say, well, is there anything else? And, after some time in this relationship, I'd just, I'd make sure when I talk to him, I really appreciate you. I love you. I thank you so much for what you're doing. And he would say, oh, right back at you. And which I thought he was being polite, but over time, as you start helping other people, I started to realize, oh, no, what you just said, Yvette, what you just said, right? When you're helping somebody, I'm getting the better blessing. It truly is more blessed to give than it is to receive. I get the bigger blessing out of it.
And if you can learn that, Alton, at a young age, like your dad is telling you, because when I used to go into the meetings, I'd be like, what does this person want from me? Like, what is their angle? I'm not holding any drugs. Like, why do they want to give me a ride? Why do they want to hug me? Like, what are they going to pickpocket me? Like, I never saw people in the world that didn't have a side angle in the world that I lived in. So to come to these people that were like, I just come to my house. We're going to have a sober picnic. I'm like, what? But that's the people in recovery who have hit bottom and turned their life around. They are the most kindest people, and they will always, always put their hand out to help you. Always.
I totally agree.
It's just what I found. Yeah.
I love that mindset of helping others. That's definitely great stuff. So for any listeners that might be struggling with a certain vice, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's something as simple as they have too much screen time on their phone, what do you feel like, how do you go about removing that behavior, that bad habit from your life? What are the steps to take on that?
For me, the first step is the awareness. Like, for example, I'm on Instagram, I'm scrolling, I'm not paying attention to my son. I'm in this fog. It's the awareness. Wow, mom. Okay, I have the awareness. I need to stop doing that, right? The awareness. The acceptance. The acceptance is that there's a consequence. This is taking time away from my son, right? And the third A, awareness, acceptance, is the action. What am I going to do? I bought a phone box from Amazon. I literally put my phone in there like a freaking put my phone in there, lock it up. I have no access to it. Everybody's going to live. They lived in 1985. And I say, okay, son, this is my time with you. Because sometimes you literally have to take yourself from the environment.
Yes.
Right? If I don't want to drink, I don't go to the bar.
That's right.
I don't want to be on the phone, I put it away.
There we go.
Because addiction is going to make me want to pick up one more text, one more follow, one more like. That's how our brains are made up. They're always looking for that hit. So I have to remove myself physically or remove the item physically.
That's great. We'll get back to more after this quick break. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Training Systems. Underdog Training Systems was designed to create champions. Underdog can increase its impact by providing personal interactions with coaches that care. The best part is it's designed for you. Never a cookie-cutter program to follow. Your training schedule is built completely around you. You'll get week-by-week workouts that are assigned based on your specific needs. DM underdog.fitness.gym on Instagram or visit the website to inquire.
Welcome back, everybody. We are so glad you're joining us for this interview with Yvette Salva, the author of Booze, Blow, and Pancakes, a tremendous public motivational speaker and a fitness trainer for ladies. Yvette, we've been talking about the difficulties of overcoming compulsive behaviors, whether it's screen time, whether it's, overeating, substance abuse, all of these compulsive behaviors that are very, just almost impossible to overcome on our own. And I would say impossible to overcome on our own. I've heard it said, and I believe that the opposite of addiction is connection. Could you talk about in your own life how those connections have made sobriety and success, really, how sobriety is made possible by connection?
Wow. That is amazing because in my keynote that I have, it's From Hell to Happiness. I used to think that happiness was money, power, fame, thinness, beauty, right? And through my journey, I've come to realize it's about connection, fulfillment, and purpose. Connection being the number one. There is no way I'm standing here sober if I did not have connection, love of other humans, surrounding myself with similar humans with similar mindset who want to give me something for free and I want to give them something for free.
Yeah.
A transaction without money.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and that's truly connection. And without that, we end up lonely, alone, and picking up vices to numb ourselves. And that's what I did my whole life because I was truly disconnected. And disconnection is what we do when we pick up drugs, alcohol, food. We isolate. We isolate and we numb.
Yes.
Very true. And one of the things, as we've had guests on successful people, is they talk about how resilient their childhood and upbringing has been, and that brings them to being in a successful position. And for you, we've been talking about your past and all the addictions that you had to fight over, and now you're a very successful person and author of a book and have a keynote at the Impact Summit next summer. You have your own personal training studio. So how do you feel as though this resilient past has helped to build you into the person that you are now? Because it could be very easy that with your lifestyle that you could have been dead by now. So how do you feel like that built you up into who you are today?
I think that when you suffer so much and you literally don't want to live, I think that like for me, my purpose is in knowing that I made a difference in someone's life, whether it's through a text, whether it's through a hug, whether it's picking them up and taking them to a meeting, whether it's like I texted a woman this morning, I'm so proud of you for walking into my studio. I know how hard it is to start. And she's like, I'm crying right now. That's connection. And that's what I'm going to do, whether there's a value to it monetarily or not, because that's what gives me purpose, you know? And that's, I always feel like the money comes. Because I've had a lot of money and I've had homelessness. I've had the two extremes. Not one is better than the other. What's better is connecting with other humans. That's what makes your life rich beyond words.
It is the truth. You know, Yvette, I was just in a class of people last week, and I told them, addiction is safe. Addiction is the safe place for us, right? Because we know what that chemical can do for us, or that experience, if it's gambling or pornography. We know what that chemical or experience can do for us, so it's safe, right? What's risky is dealing with another human where you don't know, are they going to betray you? Are they going to put that knife in your back? Because they're presenting themselves to us one way, but our past has taught us that they can really, really hurt us bad if we let the guard down. Yet you continue to take those risks. You take them fearlessly. In business, you get up on stage. Talk about how you encourage your clients in that risk-taking.
Let me tell you something. I do not like risk. I am so scared. Even going on this podcast, I was like, oh my God, do I look okay? Oh my God. Like all the stuff, the chatter, the noise in my head. And then I just say a prayer. I say, God, just lead me with the right words. But I feel like that when I do that one time, it gets a little easier the next time. And then it gets a little easier the next time. You know, I too, like we were talking in the break, like I too am divorced. I was married 20 years, financially set up, never had to worry about anything. To leave that to the unknown was so scary, but I was missing something in my life, and I don't want to die without ever feeling that. You know, and me and my ex-husband were great friends. It's all good. But that, I think, is one of the riskiest things, is to just throw a grenade in your life, whether it's getting sober, getting divorced, starting a business, literally raising a child. Nobody gives us manuals for this. It's literally like, this is what you know every day. And now I'm going to throw this grenade.
Blow it up.
Wake up. Blow it up. But you know what? From that's how we grow. Because if not, like, we are stuck. Literally holding on to one rung of the monkey bar, wanting to get to the other, but not willing to let go, right? So you're stuck. You're just that visual of just being stuck. One handcuff on, one handcuff not. Like, you're not going anywhere, but you're not locked up and you're not free.
Yeah, that's right. You're stuck in the middle.
Listening to a podcast where they had you on as a guest, I heard you talked about at a point when you're trying to reach sobriety, you had a lot of excuses to where, like, I don't remember exactly what you said, but like Monday was my blow day, and then like Wednesday was my tequila day, and then Friday was the day I overeat. Like a certain like pattern that you have. How important was it for on your path to sobriety to completely shatter those excuses and those patterns that you had built within your lifestyle?
Well, the first thing I have to say is patterns. Our brain always wants to feel comfortable. It's always going to say, turn on Netflix and get some cheeses. Always. Always. It's never going to say, get up right now and do 100 push-ups. Never.
Yeah.
It wants to keep us safe. And to understand that that's human, you're not lazy, that's your brain keeping you safe, cozy, comfy. That was the first thing for me. I'm just human. This is what it's doing, the chatter, the noise in the background. But I just get up and I start. Like, I never wanted to go to a meeting. I never wanted to go to the gym. I never wanted to journal, not once in my freaking life. Never. But what I do is I take the emotion out of it, start, and then I start to feel the reward of being better. It's about starting when you don't want to, because the reward will come. There's not one person who said, I'm so pissed I worked out today. Never. Right?
That's right.
Never. You took yourself out of a cozy, comfy, and got uncomfortable. But then the reward is, I'm proud of myself. I showed up. And then if you keep repeating the pattern of that versus cozy, comfy, you start to get used to risk-taking, getting uncomfortable, and that becomes your new norm. It just takes practice.
That's right.
Journaling is something that I've been so fascinated with myself, and something that I've implemented with myself. I try and journal in the morning and then at nighttime. So tell us a little bit more about your journaling and how you use that with your current lifestyle.
Oh God, that journaling is like, if I show you, I've been journaling since I'm 14 years old. Literally, what I do in the morning is I just download all my thoughts. This person's a freaking a-hole. I can't believe this one. Oh my God, I got to drink a gallon of water. I'm going to be peeing, like everything. I can't believe I got to go to the post office. I just write. Then I think about one thought. And then I say, okay, say the thought is, so I start with a circumstance. The way I do my journaling is Connecticut is far. It's C is the circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. So CTFAR. Say, for example, the circumstance is COVID. The thought is, I'm not going anywhere. The feeling is depression. The action is Cheez-Its and Netflix. The result is gain 30 pounds, right? CTFAR.
Yeah.
Now, if I reframe this, the circumstance is always the same. The C, COVID. The thought is, I have more time now to work out than I ever did. The feeling is powerful. The action, pick up weights. The result, fit as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After doing a bodybuilding show. Same circumstance, different thought. So what I do in the morning is I download my thoughts, and then I think, how can I reframe this thought so I have a better feeling and I take a better action? Thoughts create feelings which drive actions. Every day, every day, every day. So it all comes down to how we think.
That's the truth.
I love that way of thinking about, because you're not going to be able to change your circumstances, but what you can change is your reaction to them. I just absolutely love that. And one thing that I've implemented with my own personal journaling is when I wake up, I just write down everything that I'm grateful for, so that I'm in that attitude of gratitude, which is just going to elevate everything around me. I love that. I'm definitely going to start implementing that in my own personal journaling.
You would have that, Alton, at your age, like every day when I wake up, my body's so sore. Maybe Ricardo can identify, like, oh my God, everything hurts. And then you know what I say to myself every day without fault? Thank you, God, that I'm not going to get chemotherapy this morning.
That's right.
Yes.
It is the simplest thought, but how many people wake up and have to go sit there all day? I'm so grateful, God, for giving me this body. Thank you. Because that thought, I know so many people going through chemo, and I'm like, I'm so freaking lucky.
Oh, my goodness, yes. I once saw a sign, and I've taken this to heart, and the sign said, what if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you thanked God for today?
Oh, my God.
Just,
Right.
I thank you, God, that my body works, that my house was warm, that there's food in my fridge, that my car is getting me to a job. I'm glad I have a job. Not everybody does. What if I woke up tomorrow with only the things I was thankful for today?
Wow.
It changes the mindset. And, you mentioned God, the master taught us the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is good, your whole body's full of light. And if your eye is bad, your whole body's full of darkness, and how dark that darkness will be. Right. So when I'm looking at the world, grateful and thankful that I've been given another day, that I have this daily reprieve and all these things, my whole body gets lit up. My whole perspective changes when I'm looking at the world through a lens of gratitude and even in hard times. But at least, well, yes, I had this traffic accident, but at least I'm alive to tell this story. But at least I have that insurance, and it's going to be a pain, but I'll get it fixed, Having that perspective just changes the way we get through our days. And I love your passion. I love how you're sharing these things. You're getting me fired up. This is changing the trajectory of my whole day, being with you here today.
Yeah. You know what I think about too? I've been in prisons before, to talk to women, and I just look and I cry because I look at these people who did the same thing I did. I just didn't get caught.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there locked up, and I'm here talking about it. God gave me a reprieve, but that would have been me. So every day I thank God I'm not in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to encourage you that just the confidence and just transparency that it takes is just so powerful to share your story. It could be easy to just hide from the story and just say, oh, that's my past. I don't talk about my past. But the courage that it takes to tell people that this is what I've done, and now you're using that for good and coming on here and with your keynote and giving people actual tools so that when they're struggling with similar things, that they have tools that they can now work on for that. That just takes so much confidence and courage to do that, and I just wanted to encourage you on that. That's so great that you're using your story of struggle for so much good in this world.
And you, Alton, and your dad are creating so much impact by doing this. Like, I am in shock at your age, your intellect, the questions you ask. You are amazing, and you have the most beautiful role model ever guiding you. That's love right there, baby.
I really appreciate it.
Yvette, we obviously were very excited to have you come on here and talk to our listeners and us about resilience, and there were things we wanted to ask you, but it's possible that we didn't ask you a question you thought we were going to ask you, or we didn't ask you the question of something you wanted to share about. So we just want to give you the opportunity to share about anything we might not have asked about today. There's one more thing you have to say to our listeners. What would it be?
I would say the most valuable thing in life are people. And who you surround yourself with is who you will become. 100%. I surround myself with people like you, Ricardo, people who want to get better, who want to practice the practice of getting better instead of saying, yeah, I read that Tony Robbins book 20 years ago, I'm good. No, I need to repeat, because we have built-in forgetters. I forgot. What did he say? Yeah, when there's enough pain, there's enough action, right? Like all the things, right? That's it. We cannot change what we do not acknowledge. I need to hear that like 50 freaking times and continue to grow. So if I surround myself with people like you guys who want to grow, who want to inspire, who want to change, then I know I too will grow. So your vibe is your tribe, and surround yourself with people who are leveling up.
All right.
We need to be reminded more than we need to learn new things. Always need those constant reminders. Thank you so much. This has been so inspirational, and it's going to be great stuff for everyone. If people are interested in learning more from you, you obviously have so much wisdom, and you're a great coach and super inspiring to be around. I'm so fired up right now. I can barely stay in my chair right now.
Me too.
If people are interested in learning more from you, what's the best way for them to do that?
If you want to get my vibe and like I'm raw, I'm real, I'm ridiculous, I'm on Instagram, Yvette Salva Fitness. I'm always doing fun things. I'm always dropping little nuggets of wisdom and inspiration. So that Yvette Salva Fitness. That's also my website for my personal training studio. My Booze, Blow, and Pancakes book can be purchased on Amazon. And anybody who wants to have me as a keynote, they can find me at Yvette Salva Fitness, reach out, and we could set up some time and talk people through the 3 steps to change your life from hell to happiness. Let's go!
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. If you guys are interested in learning more, go check those things out. I'm definitely, first thing I'm doing when I'm done with this interview is getting that booze blowing pancakes and ordering that book right away.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So if you guys are interested in doing some DECA personalized training with me, I love helping people improve on their DECA marks. There are going to be links in the description below for that. Or if you're interested in reaching out to me personally, want to learn a little bit more on Instagram, I'm AltonMolinex17_ or on Facebook at Coach Alton. What if people are interested in resilience coaching with you, Coach?
Well, I love talking about resilience like we've done for this past hour or so with Yvette. And whether it's one-on-one in resilience coaching or talking to your group, get a hold of me at coach.ricardo on Instagram or Ricardo Molinax on Facebook. But before you call me, I just want to say, as someone who has heard Yvette speak, you better call this lady and get her in front of your group of people. They will be fired up. They'll be transformed because everything that she's sharing is from real life experience. She's not fake. She's not a person who's putting something on for the stage. It's just the opposite. She's taken away the layers, and it will hit you like a freight train. And so get this lady in front of your group, in front of your team, and let her speak to you in a powerful way. It has been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Have a great day. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Ricardo's Rules of Resilience, the podcast where we give you the tools to withstand and recover from difficulties. Go be resilient.
Ooh. Season 2 of Ricardo's Rules of Resilience podcast is brought to you by RamFit. Here at RamFit, we take material destined for landfill and turn it into high-performance training gear that lasts, because we believe we can have fitter people and a fitter planet. In the dynamic world of fitness equipment, our indestructible training tools made from recycled materials promises to revolutionize your workouts and deliver unmatched durability. By embracing the RamFit philosophy, you're not only enhancing your workouts, but also contributing to a more sustainable future. RamFit. Fitter people, fitter planet.